Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's good to be back. Happy to be here. Let me know in the chat if you are a Starship fan, of course. Hopefully you are. Because you're here, you're listening to and watching a show about Starship. So let me know in the chat when you think Starship will launch next. There are some guesses, January being one of them, depending on what's going on with the next version of Block 3 of Starship. Let me know in the chat while we're setting up what you think and when you think Starship will launch next. I have an idea. I'll tell you about it during the show. So hang out and I'll let you know in a little bit what I think about the next Starship launch. It might not be what you want to hear, though. It might not be what you want to hear. I would love for them to be launching in January. Absolutely. We're going to get this party started in a moment. Today's broadcast is brought to you by StarshipShirts.com. Get all of your Starship shirts at StarshipShirts.com. All your SpaceX inspired merch and spaceflight merch at StarshipShirts.com. Also, this show is presented by Current. Current is a online bank. I use it myself, and they are presenting this show today, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Thank you, Current. Starship Shirts as well. And thanks to all the people that have been supporting the show since day one. We are back, people. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We are live here for the Stage 0 Starship update. Block 3 is on us. It's coming. It's so crazy that this is actually happening. I cannot believe it. Block 3, which they will send people to the moon with, and eventually things to Mars. But we have some moon updates today. We have some Block 3 updates today. We have some Elon updates today. We also have some other, like the interior actually of the moon lander, the HLS Starship is, we're going to talk about that a little bit. There's a little bit of information on that SpaceX released. And also there's the crew display that they showed a little bit ago. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but we also have to talk about something that's very important here. And this is that Elon Musk and Starship and company, SpaceX and company, have been pushing for Starship HLS ever since the NASA director put back on the table that Blue Origin has been kind of put back in the mix with this blue moon. And look at this guy, Jared Isaacman. What's up, buddy? What's up, Jared? Now this blue moon, look at how big this thing is, by the way. Gold, surrounded by gold, royalty of Jeff Bezos, standing at the base of this lander. Now this is the key factor for SpaceX releasing what we just saw, which is all of this information about the HLS lander on their website, because they were told that they're going to be opening up the HLS lander again for other companies to be part of this HLS demonstration, and also eventually landing people on the moon's surface. So SpaceX released a bunch of stuff. It's basically damage control, to be honest with you, at this point. And this is a little bit ago. So they did release this a few weeks ago, but I wanted to, this all leads into where we're at today. So this is all going to work out. Now I want to show you this, what I was talking about earlier too. The interior crew display for Starship. Okay. So these are all touch screens for Starship HLS, not just regular Starship that's point to point, or Starship that's going to, launch cargo or anything like that. This is HLS Starship, and this is the interior. And it's fuzzy. I got this off Twitter. but it's fuzzy, but you can see right here, you can see it's where my magnifying glass is. Down here, a crater on the moon. You can also see a few things. Looks like a regular, display from an airplane or a jet or something like that. Altimeter tells you height, how far away you are from the surface, where you're going, how level you are, and also it shows you where you are. This is a cool part that shows you kind of where you are on the map of the moon as you're flying in. And also it looks like it's a real-time display of what's going on outside. So there will be cameras on the outside of the HLS lander. Okay. So we know that we may be getting feeds, which is really cool. We may be getting feeds of the HLS lander as it lands on the moon. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to actually happen, because if the HLS lander has a little incident, nobody really wants to see that, right? Like, I wouldn't want to see that. I don't want to see it tip over. I don't want to see people get harmed. I don't want to see any of that. But I think it's really cool, and it's important that we show people what's going on the surface of the moon as it's happening, because this is a huge, huge deal. Stargazer Girl 79, hello, welcome back. We are happy that you're here. And we're going to get into the poll in chat as well, which is, will Starship launch in January? We're going to get into that in a little bit too. How you been, Stargazer? Now, this is another post from SpaceX, and this is about the HLS thing, right? Like many Americans were thankful for Mr. Bridenstine, because Jim Bridenstine just told SpaceX and the world that SpaceX is not going to do this. Dude, NC Davis, where'd you come from? Coming out of nowhere. Thanks for that super chat, brother. I am back. We are all back here together. So I'm happy about that. And we're talking about Jimmy Bridenstine. Oh, Jim Bridenstine. I don't know, man. There's parts of me that are like, that I love Jim Bridenstine, and I think he's done a great job for all of NASA. He's done great stuff. But at the same time, and I released a video about this, at the same time, now he's a paid lobbyist. So what he's doing is pushing other companies that are not SpaceX to do SpaceX-y things like HLS and launch astronauts to the moon on other landers. Now, the problem here is that SpaceX won the contract, right? They already won the contract. They know they won the contract. And the, Jim Bridenstine, he doesn't, I don't want to say this because it sounds kind of rude, but it's like, in the grand scheme of things, he's a lobbyist. He gets paid to lobby for other companies. So he gets paid a lot of money to lobby for other companies and to push SpaceX down. And we don't want that. We don't want SpaceX to be pushed down. We want them all to be around. We want all these landers to work, but we don't want them to cancel anybody because you don't agree with them. It doesn't make any sense. If you don't agree with Elon, if you don't agree with SpaceX's plans, that's fine. They won the contract. They won the contract. They should be able to do this. They're kind of behind, but so is all of SLS. So is all of the HLS program. We don't even know what if the spacesuits are done. We don't know anything else about docking mechanisms. We don't know anything about the Orion. The Orion Artemis 2 hasn't even launched around the moon yet. We don't even know if we can get to the moon with people. We know that we can dock things, right? But we don't know if Starship can dock with an Orion capsule yet. So Jim Bridenstine is lobbying for other companies to come in here and take that spot, even though we have not even figured out if that is a real thing yet. And it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for Starship to get to a point where they can launch an HLS version of this. We haven't even seen any really of the HLS other than what SpaceX had released in this document on their website. And they're showing renders, more renders more renders. And I love renders. Don't get me wrong. I love renders. But here's an interior shot of the HLS. There's no actual photos of them working on this thing. There's no proof or no evidence. And Jim Bridenstine there's one thing about Jim that I can agree with. He says that SpaceX is falling behind and that SpaceX is, they're not going to make their deadlines for HLS, which it's possible they don't. But you know what? Every single space program, including Apollo, there's been setbacks. Everything. Every single rocket launch that's ever happened ever. They never launch on time, for one. They always get pushback. There's always some technical difficulties happening somewhere along the line. So nothing's going to happen on time. And it's not because somebody doesn't like SpaceX. It's not because SpaceX isn't good. It's because that's just what happens with rocket. It's just rocket engineering and rocket science is really, really hard. So it's difficult. And the plan for SpaceX to launch humans to the HLS, it's kind of in stasis. They keep building. NASA keeps building. NASA builds its SLS. NASA launches some people to the moon early 2026. Or around the moon, I should say. Not to the moon. They're going to go to-ish the moon, around the moon, then come back down to Earth. But they're not going to land on the moon. So the plan for SpaceX is to continue building HLS, the version of HLS that they have right now. And also, they can't, and this is the thing with a prototype rocket that Starship is right now. They can't commit to a full design until they know that the current Starship Block 3 is complete. Because if something goes wrong with the plumbing on the interior, they would have to rip out everything in the HLS rocket if they're building it. If something doesn't work out for regular Starship, they're going to have to rebuild everything for HLS Starship. If everything doesn't go well with the exterior, something doesn't go well with the exterior of Starship, HLS will have to be rebuilt as well. So them building HLS in tandem with the regular Starship at the same time, it makes sense to a certain degree. And that's why we have renders, and that's why we don't have a completed HLS prototype yet. That's because we don't even have a completed Starship prototype yet. They haven't even made it to orbit, really. They made it to orbital velocity, but they haven't made it to orbit. And that's why we haven't seen an HLS. It's because there's no proof from the regular Starship that HLS will work. Now, granted, HLS doesn't have to come back down to Earth. HLS Starship just goes to the moon, docks with Orion, and then HLS goes down to the surface of the moon, comes back up, docks with Orion. Orion brings the people back down to Earth. So they don't need all the other stuff around. They don't need the panels. They don't need the heat shield around Starship. So the moon version is going to be different, but it's going to be similar, but completely different, if that makes sense. Stargazer Girl says, doing great chasing rockets still. I've got 9 Starship launches, 3 Falcon launches under my belt, just under 4 years. That's incredible. Just got back from the Cape, rocked out in the rocket garden during Space Gala. That's cool. I'm thinking about actually bringing my kid to a rocket launch in the next month or so, because he's never seen one. He's 5, and I've only been to one, to be honest with you. I've been around a rocket for about a year. Been around Starship for about a year, but only seen one rocket launch live. So I want to go to another one. Have you seen Angry's dual alpaca plan? Seems like great Artemis 2.5 mission to set up a Starship landing platform. I have not. I haven't really had a chance to watch Angry stuff in a while. I love Angry Astronaut though. He's so fun. And he's like, and I love that he has opinions. That's what I want from space journalism, technology journalism, is I need people with opinions. Everybody does, because it's boring without opinions, man. And Angry has a lot of them. Angry has a lot of opinions. Wow. Yeah. NC Davis, thanks again for that super chat. Now, we are going to talk about a few other things here. So this is the crew display. And next up, this is what Elon and SpaceX has said about Bridenstine. And said basically like Jim Bridenstine, he's a shill. Now he's lobbying for a firm called the Artemis Group, representing the host of aerospace companies vying for a NASA business. And then if you click through here, open secrets, lobbying firm profile, Artemis Group, Oklahoma. Look at all this money that goes to the, I don't want to donate this. Sorry, Open Secrets, can't donate to you. But they send money for lobbyists. Look at how much money these companies send to lobbyists, to the Artemis Group in Oklahoma. If we did all of this, if we count all this up, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe $500,000, 10, 20, 20,000, 30,000, 10,000, 10,000, 30,000, 60,000 from Impulse Space, 20,000. And then you go on 60,000 Impulse Space, Oklahoma Space Industry Development Authority, 50,000, 50,000, 30,000. And these are all companies that are vying for business from NASA, and they're spending this amount of money. And by the way, look at this. United Mother Effing Launch Alliance. Look at this. Jim Bridenstine is a rich man now. The NASA salary wasn't enough. Look at this, 300, 230, 230. So that is $700 some odd $1,000 just from ULA going to his group that are positioning themselves as a group that can help you lobby to get your company in front of Congress so they will send you to the moon. And then you'll get that big ass contract. You get that $1 billion contract from NASA, or numerous contracts from NASA. So Artemis Group, Oklahoma, University of Arizona, sending them 30,000, 60,000. Viasat sent them $0. Whoops. Down here. Viasat sent them $0. They're like, hey, by the way, we're just checking out our accounting. It's $0 there, 80,000 there. And then our last page has a few others too, 60,000, 20,000, 60,000 for Voyager Space Holdings. I wonder how much of this is just people just figuring out a way to pad their own pocketbook. I mean, for a lobbying group, you have a 9-to-5 job, right? How much money do you think you need in a year to be comfortable if you're Jim Bridenstine? Let's just say it's $250,000 a year. And that's good, like $250,000 a year, right? That's really good money. You just take one ULA paycheck, brother, right there, 230 right there. That pays Jim Bridenstine for one guy, right? And how many lobbyists do you need to get all these people, to get all these companies in the good graces of NASA? Do good work. If you do good work, that's what they tell you, right? That's what they always tell you. It's like you do your best work and somebody will figure it out. Somebody will find you. But you know what? It all tracks down to money. It's all money. $230,000 could go straight to you, Jim Bridenstine. But what if Jimmy Jam, I used to call him Jimmy Jam. I thought he was a great guy. I think he still is probably a good guy. But if I were him and I had a family and I'd be like, you know what? All I got to do is some paperwork and I got to talk to some people, shake some hands. He's a politician too. And I'm not here to rag on Jim. I'm just telling you how it is. I think Jim's probably a stand-up dude, probably a good guy. But when you get offered the position of being a lobbyist and they just go, you know what, Jim? Not just 230. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you $500,000 a year. We're going to give you $500,000 a year. You do this every year. We're going to guarantee you $500,000 a year for the next 4 years. So you're going to make $2 million off of this. Then also probably have other gigs going on, because anything that's a lobbyist, if you're a lobbyist, you have other people that work for you. So this other money goes to people that help you out too, right? So this $500,000, $250,000 or $500,000 goes to Jim per year, every year. And then the other money goes to a few other people. They spread it out amongst a bunch of different other people. And everybody's making bank. If you're a lobbyist, you make bank. And especially if you're lobbying the United States government, and this is open secret. So these are, if I were to put all of this money, I'm just going to add this together in ChatGPT real quick. Okay. So page 1, let me do some ChatGPT, add these totals together. We're going to do this together. I haven't done this yet. So I think it'll be interesting to see how much money this whole lobbying firm brings in, right? That's 230. There's 0. Let's get down here. Come on, ChatGPT. Don't fail me now. Don't hallucinate. And that's what's great about ChatGPT and all these LLMs is that they will sometimes be very, very useful for you in situations like this. But I think, let's see how much it's going to bring up some wild number. And then let's see what in open secrets, if there's any other information here. So it's evaluating the $60,000 entries. Just, okay. So they made $2.365 million. $2.365 million. Okay. So 500,000 of that, let's just say that goes to Jim, right? And then the rest of it goes to, I wonder how many people are lobbyists for Artemis Group, Oklahoma. How many people work there? Lobbyists. Let's see, 5 lobbyists. Okay. Jim Bridenstine, Christopher Ingram, Mark Pilland, Gabe Sherman, and Catherine Wall. All of these people are making some bank, right? Okay. So how much was that? 2.365 million divided by 5. Divide that by 5. By 5. So this isn't the actual salary they're going to get, but okay, so that's $473,000 if they paid everybody equally in this lobbying group. 473,000. So my guess was right, because you don't need overhead for this, right? There might be like some plane trips and stuff, but everything's virtual now. You get on a Zoom call with a senator. Sure, you got to go to some whatever, you got to go to some meetups and whatever, but that's negligible compared to your $500,000 a year salary, because you're lobbying for ULA and you're lobbying for all these companies. And somebody like Impulse Space and Redwire Space, they don't have a lot of money to talk to, and they don't have the resources to talk to NASA all the time. They just don't. So somebody like Jim and his crew here, they obviously they serve a purpose. They have these people's ears, right? So this lobbying group is important for these aerospace companies. And I'm just looking at Department of Defense. Yeah, and if you get a Department of Defense contract for one of these companies, dude, this is going to change your whole company. And these are all the companies, all the companies here that do everything. So groups that have retained Artemis Group in 2025. So let's see here, 200,000. And these are just the ones that they know of right now, but there could be more. The state of Oklahoma, ULA, $760,000. All this money goes straight to the lobbyists. And you know what? I don't think there's anything wrong with people communicating, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody doing what they do, because I think that if you're a small company, like X Labs, who can only give $10,000, but there's that, you sell a package, right? I do consulting. I get it. I do consulting. I consult for business to business brands that are trying to break their way into social media. So they pay me because I have expertise in this. I've been doing this channel for a long time. I haven't done live streams in a long time, but I've been doing this channel and other channels for a while. So I have an expertise in it. I've been doing it for a very long time. I know the hardware, I know the software, I know the way things work. So you pay me money to do this. I'm that guy. I'm a consultant, and that's what these people are. These consultants, though, they talk to people with a lot more money than I talk to. You know, I've worked with big companies. I've worked with Silicon Valley backed startups that are worth $50 million, $60 million. I just worked with a company that is worth $40 million, $50 million. And the fact that these people and these lobbyist groups, I get it. You make a lot of money doing what they do. And all you have to really do is talk to a few people that you know. Like, hey, you know, I got this company, AstroNet X PBC, and, you know, they got this really cool product. I want you to take a look at it. And here's what it is, you know, and then AstroNet X gives you 50 grand to talk to somebody. And the consulting space, 100%, you can make a bunch of money. If you do it right and you find the right clients, you can make a bunch of money. I have some people that I know that are making $300,000 every month doing consulting. Not for this, not for aerospace, but for business to business, like large businesses, 300 grand. And they have a couple clients. It's incredible. It's insane the amount of money people make. It's insane. I don't make that much money. Not as much, not $300,000 a month. Or if I was making $300,000 a month, I'd be way too busy to do anything else. But if I also made $300,000 a month, I'd work for like a year, and then I'd be like, you know what? I'm done. Work for like 2 years and be like, you know what? Everyone's good. All my friends and family are good. And then I'd be done. But these little companies that can give them $50,000, or X Labs here, they give them $10,000. They have no chance. You know, X Labs has no chance to get in front of the people that they need to get in front of in Congress and people, decision makers, the people at the top of these companies. So, or at the top of these agencies. So I get it. I totally get it. But SpaceX was like, you know what? Don't do it to us. He deserves credit for spearheading the creation of the Artemis program. That's great. After departing NASA, he created a lobbying firm called the Artemis Group. So he saw an opportunity. Jim Bridenstine, smart guy, saw an opportunity. So Jim created this lobbying firm called the Artemis Group. Maybe he takes $1 million, gives somebody else 250,000, gives somebody else 250,000, and then he takes $1 million per year. Works 4 years on this, makes $4 million. Him and his family are good. But they represent a large amount of companies. Their campaigning against Starship is either misguided or intentionally misleading. SpaceX was selected to design and develop a HLS for Artemis along with Blue Origin Dynetics during Mr. Bridenstine's tenure as NASA administrator. Now, we know this. We all know this. And then he's trying to, it was confirmed repeatedly following protest and litigation from the companies not selected, which delayed the start of work on the contract for many months. Yeah. So it's a really weird situation to be put in, I'm sure, for Jim, because he probably thinking he's doing the right thing because these small companies are trying to get in there and they just can't because they don't have the resources that SpaceX has. Elon has all the money. And when you have the money, you have the power, you have the resources, you have the freedom to do whatever you want to do. And Elon is just too powerful for anybody to fight against, right? Stargazer Girl says, let me know when you and the family come down. Yeah, we're probably going to go to Florida. We're about 4 hours away from the Cape. So we'll probably drive down and like do a launch sometime. Oklahoma has a long history in the aerospace industry, all the way back to Wiley Post. The first pressurized spacesuit parts for the Apollo missions were made in Tulsa. Yeah, Oklahoma, it is a very important space flight community in Oklahoma. And I get it. Jimmy Jam over there doing his thing. I just don't know if I 100% agree with it. I think it's important that everybody gets a fair shot. but also you got to prove yourself. SpaceX, I mean, Elon was like, I made Tesla better than it was. You know, he's an investor. He took over early. And then he was like, I'm going to make rockets. And then he got that NASA contract after his rocket blew up a few times. And then it finally launched and made its way to space. So Falcon, it was all because of Falcon, right? So let's move on from HLS. Let's move on to the near future, which is the Starship. Ship 39. Look at this, by the way. And this is a little bit older, but I want to show you this because the difference between these heat shield tiles and the current or Block 2 heat shield tiles is just insane. Look at how symmetrical. I don't know if you can see this on your screen, but look at how symmetrical those are and how pretty that is. The engineering that went into this, all of the engineering that went into all the Block 2 flights, all of the failures that the Block 2 Starship has had led us to this beautiful stack of tiles on the outer shell of Starship. Now, what they show here is a full body, pretty much a full body of tiles for the Starship. And they're in such a perfect pattern around the Starship belly that because of the testing from all of the other Starships, they've realized where the weak points are and they reinforced them. They changed the heat tiles so many times during the initial rounds of Starship flight testing. And now we have this beautiful, beautiful assortment of tiles. And another great one, Starbase Surfer. Look at this. The nose of the Starship is absolutely just pinpoint accuracy with every one of these tiles. It's like they, you know, when you go to somebody's house and you're like, oh, your tile work's really good. Like, look at that tile work down there. Or like, look at that brickwork. And you notice it because it looks just great. That's how I feel. I feel like I just went into like a really expensive restaurant and they have tile in the bathrooms or whatever, you know, tile in the restaurant. I went to a restaurant actually on the day before Christmas and they had tile work. It used to be an old government building, but the tile work around the whole building was insanely cool and it was perfect. And it reminded me of this because they weren't hexagonal or anything, but they were beautifully tiled pieces of engineering. And when I got home and I saw this image, I was like, there's something to that, like in between that somewhere. But you can see they're not like completely finished yet. Right about here, they haven't gotten the sealant in here. And there are a few that just need a little bit of touch up. But this is from November 10th. So they have fixed this. But November 10th till now, I'm sure it's in a much better place by now. And they are working towards the next flight of Starship. Now, next flight of Starship, we have 61% in chat that say Starship will launch in January. 61%, 39 say no. So it's 60-40 basically. So let me know in the chat if you think it'll launch in January. Now we have another update here from Starship SpaceX, from Starship base, SpaceX Starship News. SpaceX says we've received approval to develop Space Launch Complex 37 for Starship operations at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Construction has started. With 3 launch pads in Florida, Starship will be ready to support America's national security and Artemis goals as the world's premier spaceport continues to evolve. To enable airport-like operations, we'd like to thank the Department of the Air Force, 45th Space Force, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife for their effort on the environmental review. Now, Elon, I want to show you where this is for. You know what? Let's read this Elon tweet, then I'll show you where that is on the map. SpaceX is accelerating rapidly. When Starship is launching several times a day in a few years, SpaceX will be 99% of all Earth payload mass to orbit, even if the others triple their current launch rate. And this is from a tweet from Steve Jurvetson. The Q3 launch report just came out. For kilogram launch to orbit, SpaceX has 97% share for the US and 83% globally. The 8 Chinese launchers add up to 8.6%. Looking into the graph's magnifying box, IDF just nudged past Rocket Lab. And this is that's insane. Look at this graph. They are so far past everybody else that it's not even close. Not even close for SpaceX. They are destroying everybody. And when Elon says they're going to be launching several times a day, I want you to think about this. They're going to have their 2 launchers at the Cape. They're going to have 2 launchers at Starbase by that time. So then they may even have more by that time too. They may have 6 launchers at any given time in the next few years. Now, if Starship were to launch 6 times in one day, they would land 12 times that day if everything returns properly. Think of that for a second. You see airplanes coming in and out. You know, you go to an airport, you can sit under the airport like the launch area, right? We have one nearby where you can drive underneath and you can kind of see it. You can park sort of close. And the launches happen, or the flights happen every X amount of minutes, right? Like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. Now, if you have 6 rockets going to space, 2 of those could be tankers. 2 of those could be starships that are getting ready to go someplace. They got 4 already. And then you've got 2 more doing something else. Who knows what they're doing? Maybe they're a tanker and another starship. And they're fueling up and they're trying to get to Mars. Maybe they're trying to get to the moon. Maybe they're trying to do some other science work. Maybe they're launching Starlink satellites, some of them. But you could have 6 to 12. You could have 6 launches per day, which is incredible. You could have a morning launch and a night launch of the Starship, or you could have 2 launches almost simultaneously, like hours apart, if the ground crews are fine, or you could just scatter them out throughout the day, and you could have numerous launches from across the southern border of the United States, Florida, Texas. It's just like they just can launch so many, and it's going to be incredible that this is what's going to actually happen. And I believe Elon here, in a few years, SpaceX will be 99% of all Earth payload mass to orbit. Several times a day. When he says several, what does he mean though? Does he mean 2 launches per day? I think what's going to happen, and this is what I'm hoping happens in the next few years. I hope they nail Block 3 pretty soon. Now, with this poll in our chat, will Starship launch in January? I don't think so. I don't think they can. I think that setback from the last booster that blew up, that's going to set them back a few, maybe 3 weeks, something like that. So by that time, this year is going to be over. They still have to test a booster, 100% test it. This is a new version of everything, right? So they have a new booster, new ship, everything's brand new. They have to do extensive testing on either one of these things. Because if anything happens to this pad, which isn't even completed yet, by the way, they just ripped down the first pad. It's pretty much gone. And pad 2 is going to be up sometime in the near future. We don't know when. It could be months, could be 3 months. I mean, they're working hard, but I saw them build the first pad. I was there on the side of the road when they were building the first pad. It took a very long time. Now, engineering is very difficult, and they learned a lot from pad 1. Pad 2 is for a different rocket. Pad 2 is for block 3. What they learned from block 1 and 2, they can transfer over to the block 3 pad, but it's going to be different. So they need to do different things. And Zesty Zomp says Block 3 will have hiccups. I agree with you. There will be times when they scrub a launch. There will be times when things just don't work out right. And there will be things like what just happened to that last booster. It exploded on the test pad. And those kind of things will happen. It's a new rocket. And understandably, it's going to take a long time to get it ready and comfortable enough, get the crew comfortable enough to launch this thing. And I'm not a Starship hater at all. I just try to think realistically and logically about things that happen in the aerospace industry. It's not done yet. The ship, of course, we have very talented people, much more talented than me, working on these things. They know more than I do about this. But also, we've seen some things happen. How many times has Block 1 and Block 2 failed? And some people would say it's not a failure. They learned. It's true. That's true. But they also failed a bunch. And I'm not a hater. But it's what happened. And you have to realize that. You can't just sugarcoat things because it just makes you feel better. Because that's not how life works. That's not how engineering works. Sure, they learned things, but did they want it to perfectly execute the plan? Yes, 100%. Were they planning on that? Maybe not 100%, but they didn't want to be held back by failures. And I'm sure there are some people, and they're just sugarcoating everything. If you're sugarcoating everything because you say it's not a failure, it's a learning opportunity. Yes, I agree with you. But there are winners and losers. And the fact that sometimes things don't work out well, it's going to be a bad day for Starship if something doesn't work out well on the pad for Block 3. I don't know. It's a risky bet to say anywhere before March for the next flight of Starship. It's going to take a month to get that launch pad ready, unfortunately. And they're going to be building the Starship in tandem with that. And I think it's going to be March at least, but more so probably late March, early April by the time they get this thing ready to fly. And Elon said Q1 of 2026. I agree with them, Q1, but it's going to be like late Q1, I think. I've been covering Starship since the inception, basically. Since it was basically a tent on a dirt pad, I've been covering this stuff. And I think the fact that they are building a brand new rocket with ideas and engineering from another set of that same rocket, Block 1 and 2, and the things that are different are so different between Block 3 and Block 2. Upgrades are so different. It's bigger. It's more powerful. And you can't just get it right the first time. If you can get it right the first time, that's great. Maybe you're Blue Origin and you can launch, maybe you can launch a perfect rocket and land it. That was cool, right? That was really cool. We Be Good 06 says, hello, all much more fun watching Starship than New Glenn. I think it's more exciting because you never know what's going to happen with Starship. We Be Good. Because it's still such a prototype that it's so much more fun to just hope that everything goes well. And I do that with like every rocket launch too. I want every rocket launch to go well. I want everything to just work out, but Starship, if you're watching Starship and you're like, ooh, this is going to be exciting, and it's kind of reckless and it's kind of punk rock in a way, but at the same time, it's like, man, don't blow up. Just don't rud. Please. I want cool stuff to happen in space. I don't want to rud for Starship. I want cool stuff to happen. I want us to launch and land these things. I want 6 of these per day to launch. That'd be insane. 6 launches and 12 landings would be insane. Zesty Zomp says, I'd say March is a better time frame. They can rush it and not expect problems. They could rush it, but will they? I think the program has matured enough, and I think the head of Starbase and engineering at Starbase, even though Elon is still the engineer, right? He's the top engineer. I don't think they're going to rush it because they have proven to everybody so far that they know how to make prototypes. They haven't proven yet that they know how to make a fully capable, super heavy lift rocket that's orbital and is dependable for missions other than prototypes. They haven't done that yet. And like I said before, I want SpaceX to succeed. I am not a hater. I want them to succeed. I have a podcast called the Elon Musk Podcast because I'm a fan of what the guy does. You can check it out on all podcast platforms. Look for me. There's a stupid idiot out there that's trying to rip me off, even though my podcast was there first. But I have a podcast about the guy because I believe in the things that he does. But the fact of the matter, and I've been doing that for 5 years. I've been doing this channel for 5 years. I wouldn't do this if I didn't like it. And I wouldn't do it if I didn't believe in it. But I think the fact that it's still a prototype, and you have to think about this in your heart of hearts, people. Think about this in your heart. It's going to take more time because they want to get it right, and they want to be at the company that sends the next people back to Mars. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild in the next 6 months. In the next year, things are going to ramp up dramatically for Starship. I think the ramp up for this is going to go like, because right now it's like, going up and up and up. And then I think this year is going to go like straight up, because once they hit orbit and once they start doing missions in orbit, once they start launching Starlinks, like dozens of Starlinks at the same time, I think people are going to really pay attention. I think people pay attention now, but they're like, it's a prototype, especially people that know what's up. They think, they know it's a prototype. They know things could go wrong. And if you don't think things are going to go wrong, then you're just being naive. But if the fact that Starship actually launches and successfully orbits and succeeds in their missions, whatever those missions are, for paid customers or for Starlink. By the way, Starlink is a paid customer for SpaceX. They're kind of two entities. So Elon does this really well. He has a bunch of different companies, and those companies pay each other. So he keeps all the money, basically. He's like, well, I need satellites, so I'm going to make a company called Starlink. And then I'm going to make this company called, I'm going to make Tesla robots. I'm going to make parts from Tesla that work with Starship. It's funny, though. It's very funny. As for Blue Origin, repeat the performance 10 times, then we can say nice things. I'm going to say nice things anyway, man. Blue Origin killed it last time. They killed it. They got a great performance. I'm not a hater. If somebody does something well, I'm not going to be like, SpaceX #1, Blue Origin sucks. Like, that's stupid. Go back to high school. What are you, a jock? Not you, Zesty. I'm just saying, like, who's going to take position? Who's going to take a side like that? That's just silly. Not you, Zesty. I'm just saying people that are like total haters of either company. It's like, dude, one, it's a giant corporation. You're literally rooting for a giant corporation. It's like, dude, I want Walmart to win. No, I want Target to win. Not you, Zesty. I'm just reinforcing the fact that people that are tribal about spaceflight, I don't get it. I don't get it because, the whole team space thing, I want everybody to go to orbit. I want everybody to go to space. I want every company to succeed. I'm a fan of spaceflight. Am I a fan of SpaceX? Yes. Am I a fan of Blue Origin? Absolutely. I want them all to succeed. The politics of it suck. The politics of it are just, it's stupid. It's stupid. I don't know why people, not just us, but the other people that are in charge, like the politics of the people in charge, it's just disgusting. There's people, and I don't care who's in charge. Jared Isaacman is a good dude, in charge of NASA soon, hopefully. Man, I hope he changes some stuff around, because there's some just negative things going on. And it's just politics, like we were talking about earlier, Jim Bridenstine and his lobbying group making millions of dollars just to talk to people about stuff, and the fact that people are like being and I've had these people, right? So I was on the side of Highway 4 while they were building the first iteration of Starship. I was there for like a year, right? And people would come up to me and they would be very political. And they'd say things like, because this is when Elon wasn't very political. Like he was pretty like, I don't know, pretty in the middle about stuff. And people would come up to me and be like, Elon is just an idiot, whatever, just talk about politics, about Elon and about SpaceX and stuff. And I'm like, dude, don't you want to see this rocket fly? I'm like, it's not about the people. I mean, sure, Elon's done some very questionable things. He's a very, let's just say, intriguing person, to say it nicely. But he, we don't talk about that when we talk about rockets, right? We talk about the rockets. We talk about the things that they do. We talk about the missions. We talk about the important things that are going to be happening. People living and working in space, people living off Earth's gravity, like away from Earth's gravity and somewhere in the solar system. Like how many people have lived off of Earth? 0. They've done work on the moon. They haven't lived off the Earth. Once somebody lives off the Earth, like goes to Mars, and even I would say doing a little camping trip on Mars for a week, that wouldn't be considered living off Earth. I mean, you're going to be out for a year or two, right? Because you're going to have to fly there and back. But I don't know. That's a tough one too. I don't know. What do you think, chat? Do you think that would be considered living off world? If you're going to Mars and you're in a ship for like 9 months, you land on Mars, you're there for a little bit, for like a month or something, and then you fly back. Do you think that's living off world? Or do you think you have to stay on another world to live off world? I want to know, chat. What do you think? We'd be good. Said I'd be okay with deporting Elon after what he did with Doge. He can go, but SpaceX can stay. Yeah, there's so many bad things. Zesty says, I love everything going up, but there is way too much ego involved with all things moving forward. It's a tough journey. Bless all that can succeed. I agree with you. Envy drives people into a wild mindset. If all could apply and engineer a future vision, this might settle the gap between interested versus just along for the ride. Yeah, I agree. I think if people really understood the importance of what's out there, what's out beyond the Earth, they would understand, how small we are, and how in the big picture of the universe, we don't really matter. No matter how much we tell ourselves, no matter how much religion or sides we take, what kind of wars we get into, what kind of fights we get into, how much love we have for each other, the universe doesn't care. The universe is so big and we're so small enough. I think people could just understand that the universe doesn't care about us, and the most important thing is us. That's what could change people's minds. And that's why people really love spaceflight. It's not because they're going to get rich from it. It's not because it's thrilling and exciting. Sure, those are things that are important, and those are good byproducts of spaceflight. But what's the most important thing is that we do get to adventure. And humanity has always been an adventuring species. We started off somewhere in Africa, supposedly, if we know, if all the evidence is true and right. We start off somewhere in Africa. Now we dominate the Earth. And that's because we're adventurers. We want to go someplace else. And we've already taken over the whole world. So the only thing left is the ocean. And also what's up there? How can we get up there? We have rockets to go up there. How do we get to another world so we can explore on this other world? How can we go to Mars and set foot on it and become a spacefaring species that will allow other humans to live and work and thrive on another planet? And that's if we all get together and stop fighting and we all come together in unison to help build these amazing projects. So things what I was talking about earlier, all of the politics that were involved with this before, that has to go out the window. The companies that are going to be doing the best work have to come forward and do their best work and realize the dream of everybody living off world. Some people will stay here. Most people will stay here, but some people will adventure on. Like those first people that were trying to cross oceans, and they built handcrafted boats out of logs and sticks and mud and twine. They didn't have rope, but they made like some sort of vine rope. How did they do that? They were adventurers. They had this heart that was just wild, and they could not be stuck in that one place, and they had to move on. So that's the adventurer's journey that needs to happen. And everybody that's involved with spaceflight absolutely needs to band together and support the companies that are doing great things. Support the people that are doing great things. And not just the people in the companies, but the good people that are doing great things. Because what's going to help us in the future isn't maniacal people that are trying to take over things, even though that's what has always happened. That's how we are what we are right now. The people that have dominated and conquered, they've always been in power. And the fact that we do have a chance to go to another place and leave all that behind, that's what's going to drive a lot of people to realize that spaceflight and things like Starship and Blue Origin's rockets and any super heavy lift rockets are going to be the future of humanity. So yes, there's some infighting. And yes, people are really going to try to make as much money as possible. But 10, 15, 20, 30, 100, 200, 1,000 years from now, this will be like the first boat. The rockets will send us off into the great abyss of space, where we will conquer or habitate towards or on other planets. Hopefully not conquer. Hopefully live, work together, and thrive as a species that doesn't need that kind of drama. Because all of our hearts, we're all good. You all start out good. You're a baby. You have no hate in your heart for anybody. You have no reason to fight anybody. And when you grow up, you're taught certain things. And with those certain things, you become competitive. And some people are competitive in their spirit. Some people just have it in them to just go. But if you're reinforcing those ideals and not reinforcing the ideals of like, hey, let's do this for the good of humanity, then I think that's the wrong way. But if you are trying to make sure that humanity lives on forever, that's the best thing you could ever do. Don't do it for yourself. Don't do it for the money. Do it because you want to see humanity continue on. Don't do it because they're going to make a statue of you. That statue will eventually fall down. Your name will not be spoken 100 years after you die, 200 years, 300 years, whatever it is. You're going to be gone. You're going to be dust. But if you're the person that sends people to another planet or numerous other planets, they're going to remember you forever. So make that a positive thing, not a competitive thing. And I think that would be the way that humanity gets to have a really positive experience in our next form, whatever that is. I mean, we're going to be humans forever, but next form being what humanity will become as far as like a society. Now, I think Zesty Zomp, you're right there about envy drives people into a wild mindset. I agree with you. And We Be Good 06 says, I think we are about to destroy our best road to the stars. We should privatize ISS and allow anybody to add anything to ISS to make the first low Earth orbit space city. This is how to get to Mars. Wow. Yeah, I think that would be a wild thing, right? Though it is decaying, like it's not a good spot right now. It's going to eventually decay and fall back in to Earth because it's old. It's riddled, old and riddled. Zesty Zomp says, great episode, sir. May the triples be less likely to nibble away at our imaginations. Got to keep thinking, man. You got to keep wondering. Like if you don't keep wondering, you're killing yourself, you know? You're just like stopping your mind from moving forward. Always have to imagine. Always, always, always. So, my friends, I want to say thank you for watching today. I really do appreciate you. I want to say that NC Davis, thank you for that super chat. You get another Starship landing because of that super chat. If you want to subscribe if you're on a TV, there's a QR code for you right above my head, right there. Point your camera at that QR code and you can subscribe to the channel. I'm going to put it right in the middle of the screen right there. You can subscribe to the channel by scanning that QR code. I really love it. I really appreciate it. If anybody that's watching today who's not subscribed would subscribe to the channel if I gave you anything valuable. And it takes a second. And I've been doing this for about 5 years. So I'm going to continue doing this for about another 10 years, 15 years if I can. And your subscription is free. It takes you about a second. So I want to say thank you for that. Anybody who is a longtime follower, thank you so much for being part of the show for a very long time. Anybody that's a subscriber and also a Patreon patron or a member of the channel, thank you. We will be doing other streams like this more often. So thanks for joining up today. Appreciate you. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.